I know that like I'm the greatest fighter that has ever lived, but
Ronda Rousey might be the most delusional fighter to ever live, but she thinks that she's the best. Now, she went on this podcast called the Not Alone Podcast to promote her newest book, where she dubbed herself the greatest fighter to ever live. And today we're going to take a look at just how delusional the former women's bantamweight champion is.
Couldn't even tell them why.
I couldn't because, well, first I felt like I had to come back for another fight because I felt like I owed it to the fans, right? And everyone that had believed in me. Maybe I needed to give them an example of overcoming adversity, but...
She says that she needs to give the fans an example, that she owes it to the fans to have an example of overcoming adversity. And let's cut the shit here, Ronda. You were undefeated. You got brutally knocked out and embarrassed by Holly Holm, and you couldn't walk away from your MMA career on that note. Your ego was bruised, and you had to come back so that you could retire on a win. So lie number one from this podcast. And this clip's only 2.5 minutes, so we'll see just how many times she's full of shit here.
It was to the point where the next fight, the first time I got touched, I was out on my feet. You know, and it was so hard because I'd never been faster, never been stronger, never had a better grasp of the game.
So she had never been faster, never been stronger, but she got absolutely smoked by Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes and then walked away from the sport in shame.
Never been so much better than everybody else. But
she had never been so much better than everybody else that she got brutally finished in back-to-back fights and never came back to the sport. That sounds like a real champion, right? The best fighter to ever live.
But you know, your brain doesn't callous. It doesn't heal back stronger after a break. It's just an inevitable decline, and I just couldn't keep fighting at a level anymore. I'd taken punishment and taking punishment until I couldn't take it anymore. And then when I got to the point that I couldn't take it anymore, then I was like vilified as like, oh, she was all hype and she was just lucky. And
so she says she had taken so much punishment that she couldn't take any more. And that was the excuse that she has for 2 brutal KO losses to Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes. Where was that damage through these? Where did she take it? Let's see. Her career, 25-second submission, 40-second submission, 25-second submission, 40 seconds, first round armbar, 1 minute fight, 1 round fight, submission, armbar, first minute, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. Where is this damage that Holly Holm is talking about? Where was she taking damage to the point where she couldn't take any more against Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes? This is such an incredible cope when what the reality is that she was an above average fighter that was fighting against lackluster competition when the UFC first started these women's divisions. She was gifted the belt when she came over from Strikeforce. And where's the damage here? Every single fight was like 14 seconds, submissions and armbar. She took no damage. She took absolutely no damage. There's no brain damage to be had here. But this is a cope 10 years later. It's been almost 10 years since she last fought. She's made money in WWE. She's written books. This is just a massive cope here. I mean, at least Tony Ferguson keeps going out there and taking the losses right on the chin, quite literally. But she's out here deflecting the losses like it was anybody else's fault but her own, and her lack of talent compared to the last 2 girls that she fought.
And she, you know, and people making all these judgments about me in a fight where I was literally, my first loss, I was not like, my mouth guard was bad. I literally came into that.
Stop. She got embarrassed by Holly Holm because her mouth guard was bad. Okay? There's guys that get their mouth guard knocked out and they finish a round. Michael Bisping got damn near KO'd by Anderson Silva while looking for his mouthpiece, and he won the fight. This is just such an incredible cope. I mean, I can't believe that someone that was supposed to be the best fighter in the world, Joe Rogan cried over this girl, and she's blaming it on a mouth guard.
Into that fight concussed from slipping down some stairs already after.
Then pull out of the fight. If you fell down some stairs, pull out of the fight. Fighters pull out of fights for way less than this. Manel Kape just pulled out of his 9th UFC fight in 3 years. Tony Ferguson tripped over a wire and pulled out against Khabib. Don't fight if you're hurt. How do you pass concussion protocols like this? It doesn't make any sense to me that someone who's had this much fame and success is still... She gamed the system. She won. Even if she took those 2 losses, she fought lackluster competition and became a massive star. She was the first big star before McGregor was. And she quite literally pioneered women's MMA, or at least in the UFC. Everyone knows her name. She made millions of dollars, and then she went and wrote books for even more money. She went to the WWE for even more money, but she still just can't accept the fact that she wasn't good enough when the competition got better in women's MMA.
After all of these years of, concussions, and then I had absolutely terrible weight cut, which, that means you have less fluid in your brain to protect it. And,
every fighter has bad weight cuts. They either miss weight or they go out there and fight, but they don't talk about it when they get absolutely smoked. If you watch the fight with Holly Holm, it wasn't like her body was out of it. She got completely outclassed by a fighter that was better than her. She had elite judo and was able to grapple against subpar competition. And then once she matched up with somebody that could defend a takedown, defend a judo throw, and put 1s and 2s and head kicks on her, she got completely exposed. And it's not the weight cut, it's that you suck.
And I was out on my feet for the entire fight. I was just trying to make it look like I wasn't hurt, but I wasn't there cognitively. I couldn't think as fast. I couldn't judge distance. And just from that one fight, everybody felt like, oh, she's a fraud. And
because you are a fraud. Legacy is subjective. Israel Adesanya got to fight when he wanted, got to choose his opponents, and he fought people on 6 weeks notice, or his opponents fought him on 6 weeks notice. Marvin Vettori fought him at 263, I believe it was, 262, on 5 weeks notice, 6 weeks notice, after having a hard fight before that. Legacy is subjective, okay? She fought dog shit competition and it made her look like a world beater. And then when the competition caught up to her and passed her, she got exposed. It's because you were a fraud, okay? I just don't get it. You have kids now, you're married, why are you still hanging on to these things? That you're hanging on to the bad side of the things that made you a multi-millionaire without deserving it. If you would have fought in today's UFC, you might not even be a ranked fighter. Honestly.
And I know that I'm the greatest fighter that has ever lived, but
stop. Let me see what she said here.
Distance and just from that one fight, everybody felt like, oh, she's a fraud. And I know that I'm the greatest fighter that has ever lived, but
what about the 2 girls that beat you badly? What about John Jones, who was competing at the same time as you on his legendary title run? How do you not have anybody around you that gives you a reality check here? This is despicable. This is disgraceful behavior from someone that was a world champion.
when it got to a point where I'd just taken so much neurological damage that I couldn't take it anymore, suddenly everything that I accomplished meant nothing. And so then after that second fight, and I saw how all these people that I was coming back to fight for had suddenly turned against me.
This was the Amanda Nunes fight she's talking
all my appreciation
about.
for them turned into resentment. And I just didn't want to have anything to do with them anymore. I didn't want to do anything for them anymore because I gave them everything that I had, and they hated me for not being able to give them more.
Couldn't even.
This is just insane main character syndrome. I can't believe that her husband, her coaches, her managers, that nobody said, you got. You're not as good as we thought you were, or you, at least at the very least, you don't have it anymore. This main character type of shit of, I didn't want to give them anything anymore because I gave them all I had, is wild to me. When the reality is, you took a look at your last two fights and you said, wow, the new girls around here are elite compared to me. I'm going to go make some money in WWE. But of course, you have to frame it in this everybody fucked me over, main character syndrome, entitled mindset, that to make it make sense in your head, because she just can't accept that she sucks compared to the last two girls that she fought. So that's her being incredibly delusional on the Not Alone podcast. But we also have her here saying that she could beat Floyd Mayweather on Big Boy's Neighborhood. This is during her actual title run. This was like 2 weeks before the Sarah McMahon fight, that, you know, she was on top of the world here, but saying that she could beat Floyd Mayweather's crazy. And Joe Rogan probably agreed with her.
Big Boy's Neighborhood. Ronda Rousey is in the neighborhood, man. And Ronda Rousey, man, keep it real with me. If UFC Octagon, if you were to fight Floyd Mayweather, would he stand a chance in your discipline if he came in, no gloves on, just in karate shorts, you know, just in a... Could he stand a chance?
I'll tell you what I'd do. You ready?
Gotta love when she goes on a radio show in LA with a black host and puts on a black scent.
Mm-hmm.
I would drop down to the ground and crawl over to him as fast as I can. And then I'd grab him by the leg. I wouldn't even stand up. I wouldn't even be anywhere near him.
So
I would just do a little army crawl over there, and he would have to...
Why is she talking like she's Southern? She is from Riverside, California. Her gym was in Glendale. What is this shit? I know this is at the height of her fame, her win streak, all of that. But this is fucking embarrassing that we let her get away with this. UFC fans, we let her get away with this.
Have to run away, and I'll just be skittering after him like the one dude in Bloodsport that was doing like the whole like monkey crawl fight system. I would do that. I would just bear crawl over there, just too low for him to hit me, and I'd tackle him down. That's my plan.
So once you get him to the ground, then that could be it.
What?
Once you get him to the ground, that could be it.
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time there, and, you know, I doubt that he does.
Man, right.
Yeah, she spends a lot of time on the ground after getting KO'd by Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes. That's where she spends a lot of time on the ground. And let me make something clear here. She was the women's champ at 135 pounds, and Floyd Mayweather was champion at 147 and 154. So not only is he a man, he competed almost 20 pounds heavier than her. And she still thinks that she's going to pull off a monkey crawl. What the fuck did she say?
Then that
hit me and system. I would do one dude in Bloodsport that was doing like the whole like monkey crawl fight system. I would do that. I would just bear crawl over there, just too low.
This was all Joe Rogan's fault. Dude cries about her judo throwing and arm barring absolute bums like 6 fights in a row and says that it's a cultural event. And she starts thinking that she can crawl up to Floyd Mayweather, a world champion fighter, 20 pounds heavier than her, that's a man, and easily win.
too low for him to hit me, and I tackle him down. That's my plan.
So once you get him to the ground, then that could be it.
What?
Once you get him to the ground, that could be it.
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time there, and I doubt that he does.
Man, right. Now with the actual MMA and just being a fighter,
Okay, that's enough of that. I genuinely feel bad for her talking like this. Maybe she actually does have brain damage, to be honest, but you guys have to take a look at all of her interviews, not all of them, but a couple of them will do it for you. Throughout her career, she would bounce around between like the I'm thankful to be here, sweetheart type of girl that also beat people up. And then she'd also be the heel when people didn't like her. If you remember when she didn't shake Miesha Tate's hand after subbing her. And then she goes and plays the victim route, and she does this whole main character bullshit. Like, she's lost. Maybe she does have CTE. And she did judo for a long time. I know that concussions happen there, but this is wild shit. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments here. Is Ronda Rousey the greatest fighter of all time, like she said? Let me know your thoughts. If you like this video and you want more content just like this, click that subscribe button down below. If you want more content from me, go check out my weekly comedy podcast, the Hissyfit podcast, and go check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World. Go watch this suggested video, and I'll see you next time.